Let's take a look at these stats. Possession 78% to 22%. Field tilt 83% to 17%. Touches in the opposition's box 68 to 32. Total shots 25 to 12. The result? A comfortable 3-1 win to West Ham away to Brighton. The broad football landscape has slowly been trending in one direction, and the blueprint of a modern successful club is slowly falling into the same pattern. You build from the back, you press the opponent high up the pitch, and you look to hold on to the ball for the majority of the match. But then there's West Ham. They don't build, they don't press, they don't even want the ball. And yet they've had an incredible start to the season. But what's their secret? Let's take a look. Welcome back to Football Meta. As a reminder, all the stats you see in this video are brought to you by Soccerman's brand new X-Value platform, with in-depth metrics from 17 different leagues across the globe. You can now get 25% off yearly subscriptions by using code FootballMeta at checkout. By starting a free trial, you also get access to the Football Analytics Handbook, a free PDF with some more insight into the advanced metrics that are changing the way we look at football. The link is in the description down below. West Ham's underwhelming 14th place finish in the Premier League last season was overshadowed by their impressive Europa Conference League win over Fiorentina, giving the Hammers an automatic place in this season's Europa League. And while things were looking bleak after losing Declan Rice to Arsenal, new signings James Ward-Prowse and Edson Alvarez have very quickly found their groove within the team, with even more new signings giving the team some much needed depth. So while David Moyes' brand of football is definitely not pretty, it's proving to be very effective. So let's take a look at what the main idea is. In its purest form, West Ham are a counter-attacking team. They sit in a low block and use the physical strength of Mikel Antonio to quickly help the team transition into attack, with a very technical midfield joining in on the move. The stats back this up. So far this season, they've averaged the lowest amount of possession at only 27%, and their pressing numbers are in the bottom 5 in the league. Even when in possession, we can get a clear idea of their game plan. The goalkeeper goes long 89% of the time. They rank first for XG from counterattacks at 0.49 per game, and while they complete the fewest passes in the league, 50% of these are forward, the highest percentage in the league. This is a significant difference in style from last season, finishing 16th for XG from counters at only 0.08 per match, with their preferred approach being much more reliant on crosses and cutbacks into the box. But to truly understand how West Ham play, we first need to understand how they defend. The first priority is to not give the opposition any space between the lines. This is done by conceding half the pitch and sitting in a mid-block, compressing the space of the pitch into no more than 30 meters in depth. The defensive line is high, and while Antonio is in a 2v1 with the opposition centre-backs, the 5 midfielders will shift from side to side and ensure no passes can go through the centre. This forces play out wide, where the wingers can quickly close them down and force a mistake, often regaining possession and starting their counters. If the ball goes through the centre, then the centre-backs are extremely aggressive and are not afraid to break their line to close the player down. Here's an example against Brighton. West Ham sitting in a 4-1-4-1 with the defensive line high to close this space here and not give any options in the centre. As Brighton attempt a central pass, they are instantly closed down and forced backwards, with West Ham regaining their shape. In this clip against Chelsea, we can again see this 4-1-4-1 shape. While it appears that Enzo Fernandez is free to receive the pass, the midfield make it extremely risky for Gallagher to play this ball forward, as if they intercept it, Chelsea would instantly be in a huge numerical disadvantage. This type of defending is what is referred to as man marking in your zone, meaning the first priority is your positioning in relation to your teammates. But if an opponent moves into your zone, you instantly latch on to his position until he moves into a teammate's zone. It's an excellent combination of both zonal and man marking. One very interesting aspect is also the role of new signing Edson Alvarez. When defending in a mid-block, his responsibility is often to pick up the striker and follow his movement into the centre. This frees up the centre-backs to pick up the positioning of either the wingers moving inside or the box-to-box midfielders, while the fullbacks can pick up the players out wide. Here's an example against Brighton. As they circulate the ball, Brighton adopt the front 5. Alvarez picks up the movement of Ferguson, freeing up the centre-backs to deal with the players in the half spaces, and leaving the fullbacks to deal with the wingers. When falling back into their defensive third, the structure remains a 4-1-4-1, with Antonio the only player to stay above the line of the ball and keep the opposition centre-backs pinned. This triangle in the centre ensures West Ham can always keep a man advantage, and it closes off the space between the lines. By looking at this clip here, we can see how incredibly tight West Ham are between the lines, making it extremely difficult to progress the ball centrally and forcing play out wide. Now, the true danger from West Ham comes the instant they're able to regain possession, as they have the perfect players to be able to exploit transitions. Their low block makes it very difficult for the opposition to find players in the box or between the lines, and West Ham have a very clear game plan the instant they regain possession. As soon as there is space to do so, the first pass is forward into Antonio, dropping deep into the midfield. This creates an imbalance in the defensive structure, and the wingers exploit this by overlapping on the flanks. Given Antonio's excellent hold-up play, the first move is usually a layoff into the midfielders, who can then look for balls over the top into the wingers in either Bowen or Benrahma. If the opposition has a very high defensive line, then they can also look for the ball directly over the top for Antonio to run onto. The main idea is that there is at least always one player above the line of the ball to give the team an outlet option. Now, during their more structured attacks, the main idea is still to move the ball forward as quickly as possible, with little build-up and a lot of direct balls into the forward. As we saw earlier, the goalkeeper will almost always go long from goal kicks, often into the wide areas where they can win the aerial duels and look to outnumber the opposition on the flanks. Much like their goal to make it 3-0 against Brighton, with a ball out wide and Bowen having the space to pick out Antonio. The combination of a strong physical target man, quick and technical wingers, and great distributors in the centre mean that by gaining possession directly from long balls, they have the perfect players to instantly create a dangerous opportunity. Counterattacks are definitely West Ham's strongest point of attack. But another advantage of counterattacks is that it often leads to a lot of free kicks and corners, as the defenders are usually out of position and will rush to make a tackle. And so the introduction of James Ward-Prowse has made West Ham so much more dangerous from set pieces, given the midfielder's excellent delivery into the box and free kick taking ability. In fact, so far this season they rank third for XG from set pieces at 0.68 per game, nearly double what they averaged last season. While there is still all to play for this season, David Moyes has had an incredible start to the Premier League campaign, and West Ham look like early candidates for a spot in Europe next season. And now let me know what you think. Where do you think West Ham will finish this season, and what do you make of their tactics? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then you should definitely check out this video on counterattacks, and while they will always be a huge part of the game. As always, if you enjoyed this content, then please leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.